Alright, welcome back everyone. Today we are going to continue to do the the reading. How to make wise decisions. Across cultures, wisdom has been considered one of the most revered human qualities.
Revered.
Although the truly wise may seem few and far between, empirical research examining wisdom suggests that it isn't an exceptional trait possessed by a small handful of bearded philosophers after all.
Empirical.
Exceptional.
Possessed. Bearded. Philosophers.
In fact, the latest studies suggest that most of us have the ability to make wise decisions given the right context. It appears that experimental, situational, and cultural factors are even more powerful in shaping wisdom than previously imagined, says associate professor. This person of the University of whatever in the Canada. Recent empirical findings from cognitive, developmental, social, and personality psychology cumulatively suggest that people's ability to reason wisely varies dramatically across experimental and situational context. Understanding the role of
such contextual
factors offers unique insights into understanding wisdom in daily life, as well as how it can be enhanced and taught. It seems that it's not so much that some people simply possess wisdom and others lack it, but that our ability to reason wisely depends on a variety of external factors. It is impossible to characterize two processes attributed to wisdom without considering the role of contextual factors, explains Crossman. In other words, wisdom is not solely an inner quality, but rather unfolds as a function of situations people happen to be in. Some situations are more likely to promote wisdom than others. That's true, though for those people who sitting in an office would definitely be smarter than those people working in a factory doing those repeated work. That is true. Coming up with a definition of wisdom is challenging, but Crossman and his colleagues have identified four key characteristics as part of a framework of wise reasoning. One is intellectual humility, or recognition of the limits of our own knowledge, and another is appreciation of perspectives wider than the issue at hand. Sensitivity to the possibility of change in social relations is also key, along with compromises or integration of different attitudes and beliefs.
Integration, intellectual, compromise.
Well, there has four characteristics. One is that for a man who has the wisdom, one is that he knows the limits of his knowledge. Another one is that he appreciates others' perspectives about a thing, and it's very sensitive for the possible change that is happening at our society. And also he could let's say compromise and integrate different attitudes and beliefs together. Let them be logic. Why they exist. This wisdom people could give you an explanation about why. Crossman and his colleagues have also found that one of the most reliable ways to support wisdom in our own day-to-day decisions is to look at scenarios from a third-party perspective, as to giving advice to a friend. Research suggests that when adopting a first-person viewpoint, we focus on the focal features of the environment, and when we adopt a third-person observer viewpoint, we reason more broadly and focus more on interpersonal and moral ideas such as justice and impartiality. Looking at problems from this more expansive viewpoint appears to foster cognitive processes related to wise decisions. So it is said that If you only talk about or think about a scene from your viewpoint, it may not be enough. You have to involve a third person and observe the scene that you want to talk about or think of in a third party view so that you could make wise decisions about that object. What are we to do then when confronted with situations like a disagreement with a spouse or negotiating a contract at work that require us to take a personal stake? Grassman argues that even when we aren't able to change the situation, you can still evaluate these experiences from different perspectives. So what he said is that if you have to talk to another person, you have to stand in that person's perspective to explain that thing or analyze that thing. That would make us more intelligent. For example, in one experiment that took place during the peak of a recent economic recession, graduating college seniors were asked to reflect on their job prospects. The students were introduced to imagine their career either as if you were a distinct observer or before your own eyes as if you were right there. Participants in the group assigned to the distinct observer role displayed more ways-related reasoning in intellectual humanity and recognition of change than did participants in the control group. So what is this? It is that if you can view a scene in a third-party view, or if you could see that scene as if you were the god in the god view, then you could have a more intelligent thought about that object you were looking. 用中文来讲就是当局者迷，旁观者清。In another study, couples in non-term romantic relationships were instructed to visualize an unresolved relationship conflict either through the eyes of an outsider or from their own perspective. Participants then discussed an incident with their partner for 10 minutes, after which they wrote down their thoughts about it. Couples in the other's eyes condition were significantly more likely to rely on right reasoning, recognizing others' perspectives and searching for a compromise compared to the couples in the egocentric condition. So there's a saying, it says that when you love someone, you start to be like a fool. That's exactly a description for the second condition. Ego decentering promotes greater focus on others and enables a bigger picture, conceptual view of the experiments. Conceptual view of the experiments, affording recognition of intellectual humanity and change, says Grossman. We might associate wisdom with intelligence or particular personality traits, but research shows only a small positive relationship between wise thinking and crystallized intelligence and the personality traits of openness and agreeableness. It is remarkable how much people can vary in their wisdom from one situation to the next, and how much stronger such contextual efforts are for understanding the relationship between wise judgment and its social and effective outcomes as compared to the generalized traits. Grossman explains. That is, knowing how wisely a person behaves in a given situation is more informative for understanding their emotions or likelihood to forgive, retaliate as compared to knowing whether the person may be wise in general. So what is that? I think I have to read it again. We might associate wisdom with intelligence or particular personality traits, but research shows only a small positive relationship between wise thinking and crystallized intelligence and the personality traits of openness and agreeableness. So it says that there has almost, let's say, no relation between the wise thinking and the crystallized intelligence and the personality traits of openness and agreeableness. So someone is kind and open may not necessarily be intelligent. That's weird. Yeah, that's probably true. For some old lady or old man, when his life goes to an end, he may start to become openness and agreeableness. Maybe, I don't know. Some of those people do, but they not necessarily be intelligent. It is remarkable how much people can vary in their wisdom from one situation to the next, and how much stronger such contextual efforts are for understanding the relationship between wise judgment and its social and effective outcomes as compared to the generalized trios.
Effective traits.
So what he was trying to say is probably, yes, the wisdom indeed exists, but in one situation it may exist, but when it's getting to another situation, it may not. In other words, someone may be very good at the mathematics, but when he goes into another situation, for example, the English, they might be a fool. But for some other people, they probably did very good at the, let's say, programming, but they do not know anything about the history or something like that. It's kind of like that. When you change the situation, they may lose their intelligence or lose their wisdom with that case. That is, knowing how wisely a person behaves in a given situation is more informative for understanding their emotions or
Likelihood.
likelihood to forgive,
Retaliate.
as compared to knowing whether the person may be wise in general. So yeah, it might be true. Sometimes you feel that person is wise in general is just because that man is very good at speaking. So you feel that he is intelligent, but somehow he is just a guy who are really good at the talking, kind of thing like that. What point does the writer make in the first paragraph? Wisdom appears to be unique to the human race. A basic assumption about wisdom may be wrong. Concepts of wisdom may depend on the society we belong to. There is still much to be discovered about the nature of wisdom. Okay, I guess I should speak. A basic assumption about the wisdom may be wrong because it is said that the wisdom may not be only appear to those people who have beards, and they may not be necessarily a
Philosophers.
philosopher. On the contrary, any one of us could have the wisdom. What does Igor Grossman suggest about the ability to make wise decisions? Wise, not wise, but wise.
Wise.
It can vary greatly from one person to another. No, I don't think so. Early research into it was based on unreliable data. I don't know. The importance of certain influences on it was underestimated. Probably not. Various branches of psychology define it according to their own criteria. Alright, I think I choose A. It can vary greatly from one person to another. For each person, they may have different intelligence. That's why I guess in the modern society, for those big companies, there will always have some different people who have different skills because they have different talents or intelligence in this situation. According to the third paragraph, Grossman claims that the level of wisdom an individual shows. Third paragraph, this one. It seems that it's not so much that some people simply possess wisdom and others lack it, but that our ability to reason wisely depends on a variety of external factors. It is impossible to characterize thought processes attributed to wisdom without considering the role of contextual factors. In other words, wisdom is not solely an inner quality, but rather unfolds as a function of situations people happen to be in. Some situations are more likely to promote wisdom than others. I guess I choose the B. Well, the wisdom will be different in different circumstances. For example, as I said, for those people who stay in the office will definitely have a higher intelligence than those people in a factory. What is described in the fifth paragraph? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one. Grossman and his colleagues have also found that one of the most reliable ways to support wisdom in our own day-to-day decisions is to look at scenarios from a third-party perspective. As though giving advice to a friend, research suggests that when adopting a first-person viewpoint, we would focus on the focal features of the environment, and when we adopt a third-person observer viewpoint, we reason more broadly and focus on the interpersonal and moral ideas such as justice and impartiality. What is that?
Impartiality.
Impartiality, justice and impartiality. Looking at problems from this more expensive viewpoint appears to foster cognitive processes related to wise decisions. So what is described in that paragraph? A difficult encounters when attempting to reason wisely. No. An example of the type of person who is likely to reason wisely. No. A controversial view about the benefits of reasoning wisely. Nope. I think this is talking about a way for you to get more smart on the problem you are trying to solve. If you explain it to a third person, or to be frank, just tell others your idea. They will try to correct you if they can. Even if they couldn't, you could still get some idea from that people. The characteristics of wise reasoning. Grossman and colleagues have established 4 characteristics which enable us to make wise decisions. It is important to have a certain degree of what regarding the extent of our knowledge, and to take into account what which may not be the same as our own. We should let's forget about that. Here we go. We have 4 characteristics enables us to make the wise decisions. It is important to have a certain degree of what. Oh, we're gonna have a choose from the following words. I think I choose a confidence here, and to take into account what which may not be the same as our own. I think I choose opinions. We should also be able to take a broad what of any situation. I think I choose a broad view. Another key characteristic is being aware of likelihood of alterations in the way that people relate to each other. Grossman also believes that it is better to regard scenarios with fairness. By avoiding the first-person perspective, we focus more on what and other moral ideas. I think I choose the problems here. Focus on problem, that's okay. Here we get a few questions. We can only choose a true, false, or not given. Students participating in the job prospects experiment could choose one of the 2 perspectives to take. Yeah, of course, they only got 2 choices. Participants in couples experiments were aware that they were taking part in a study about with reasoning. No, of course, I don't know. Couples in long-term romantic relationships were instructed to visualize an unresolved relationship conflicts, either through the eyes of an outsider or from their own perspective. They didn't tell us whether those couple know this is an experiment or not, so I choose not giving. In the couples experiments, the length of the couple's relationships had an impact on the results. No, I do not think so. It's not given. In both experiments, the participants who looked at the situation from a more detached viewpoint tend to make wiser decisions. Yes, of course. Grossman believes that a person's wisdom is, this is called wisdom, right? Or wisdom? I don't know. I think it's wisdom or wisdom. Translation.
Wisdom.
Yeah, it's called wisdom. So Grossman believes that a person's wisdom is determined by their intelligence to only a very limited extent. Yes, of course. So what do we say? Those experts in general are also a fool to those domains that they don't know. They are only good at one small area, and they live by doing the work related to that area they are good at. So this is the truth of our society, as I think. Alright, so let's say this is today's learning for the IELTS examination. Say what we would get if I hit the submit button. Alright, we got this one, which is not good. Let me have a look at this. What does this man suggest about the ability to make wise decisions? The importance of certain influences on it was underestimated. Well, most people did the same choice as me. If we want to solve this problem, first we're gonna find out where is this person. Oh, here we go. This one, this guy. Why I choose choice A? Because here it says that people's ability to reason wisely varies across experiments and situation context. So that's why I choose A. To some extent, it's also right. I think this should be a multi-selection kind of problem. But let's have a look why it should choose C. Alright, so if you think about the option C, the importance of certain influences on it was underestimated, then you would start to think, yeah, that's also right, because people would generally think that people are born to be intelligent or stupid, but the truth is not. It depends on your, let's say, daily action. It depends on what do you do about those things that happen to your life. Sometimes a habit could make you, let's say, smarter and smarter, while other habit will make you only become a fool. So in general, this option is also correct. But if you only do the choice based on what you could find from that article, then the choice A is also acceptable. Now let's have a look at this one. I choose the B, but the true answer is D. Why? 31D. The D is this one, modesty. Modesty. It is important to have a certain degree of modesty regarding the extent of our knowledge. In here, we should put in the limits. We should know the limit of our knowledge. But if we want to make a sentence that just have the same meaning of that, we could say we have a certain degree of modesty regarding to the extent of our knowledge. Or we could have a certain degree of confidence of our knowledge. For example, if my confidence is 100%, that means I'm totally believe my own knowledge. But if that certain degree is equal to 5%, so I have 5% confidence about my knowledge, that means I have no confidence at all. So for this case, I think if you put the confidence here, it's also okay, because we didn't exactly say how high or how low our confidence is about our knowledge. Grossman also believes that it is better to regard scenarios with what? He chooses the F. The F is objectivity. So these people believe that it is better to regard scenarios with objectivity. By avoiding the first person perspective, we focus more on what? On the G, on the fairness, and other moral ideas. This might be okay. If we jump out from our own perspective, we would see the whole picture. That's why we would also get some fairness viewpoint about what is going on. But for this one, why? Here it should be the objectivity. Alright, objectivity, the quality of being objective. Subjective. Well, you have to know one thing, which is the meaning for the subjective and objective. They are totally different. I just messed up with the two words, so that's why I made the wrong choice. But you should know that subjective view means the view that was coming from yourself. But the objective view, it is coming from a bigger picture. It considers all those people. So it is better to regard scenarios with objectivity. This is quite important to remember this word, the meaning of this word, objectivity and subjectivity. Okay, it seems like we got this one. Students participating in the Draw Prospects experiment could choose one of the two perspectives to take. Well, they couldn't choose. The problem is they couldn't choose. This is not their choice. They were basically instructed to do what they told them to do. So here, why it is false? It is because those students do not have a choice. They do what they told. So that's why here we should choose the false. Okay. I apparently didn't realize let's say the main point of this question. Alright, so I think this is today's learning for the English. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.